They hide the truth in plain sight. Right here we have the last Queen of Tartaria, and we have Queen Amidala from Star Wars. They put it right in front of our faces. Far from coincidence. Two queens that evil wanted to erase. There's a lot more truths in Star Wars than you think. Question everything, friends.
The Smithsonian Museum is covering up evidence that ancient Egyptians ventured to the Grand Canyon in North America, leaving behind hieroglyphs and mummies that have remained hidden for thousands of years. This conspiracy theory dates back to 1909, when the Arizona Gazette published stories about an explorer named G.E. Kincaid and his journey down the Colorado River. The paper reported that Kincaid discovered a cave entrance about 2,000 feet above the riverbed and decided to explore it. When I saw the chisel marks on the wall inside the entrance, I became interested, securing my gun, and went in. Kincaid reportedly told the paper. During that trip, I went back several hundred feet along the main passage till I came to the crypt in which I discovered the mummies. Kincaid described the crypt as one of the largest chambers, with walls slanting back at about a 35-degree angle. The mummies were arranged on hewn shelves, each with a small bench at its head, where copper cups and broken swords were found. Some of the mummies are covered with clay, and all are wrapped in a bark fabric, Kincaid said. He noted that all the mummies examined so far were male, leading to the belief that this section was a warrior's barracks. According to the report, Kincaid took numerous relics and shipped them to Washington. He also discovered large rooms chiseled out of the rock further inside the cave. Over 100 feet from the entrance is the cross hall, several hundred feet long, in which are found the idol, or image, of the people's god, sitting cross-legged, with a lotus flower or lily in each hand. The cast of the face is oriental, and the carving in this cavern, Kincaid reportedly said. The idol almost resembles Buddha, though the scientists are not certain as to what religious worship it represents. Considering everything found thus far, it is possible that this worship most resembles the ancient people of Tibet. The report claimed Kincaid found numerous other artifacts, including vases, urns, and copper and gold cups, which the Smithsonian was investigating. Most intriguing of all were the hieroglyphics. On all the urns, walls over doorways, and tablets of stone found by the image are mysterious hieroglyphics, the key to which the Smithsonian Institute hopes yet to discover. The engraving on the tables likely has something to do with the religion of the people. Similar hieroglyphics have been found in southern Arizona. Among the pictorial writings, only 2 animals are found. One is of prehistoric type, the report stated. Despite the extraordinary nature of these claims, the Smithsonian denies any involvement in such a discovery and asserts there are no records of Kincaid's existence. Skeptics argue that the tale was likely a hoax, similar to an 1878 story by noted hoaxer Joseph Mulhattan, who claimed Egyptian mummies were found in a Kentucky cave.
The Grand Canyon is not just an American sightseeing location. There are strange and dark secrets that lie within. Some have even encountered a gateway to a hidden world. In 1909, the Arizona Gazette published an article about an expedition funded by the Smithsonian. This expedition was led by a man named G.E. Kincaid, and he discovered an ancient underground city within the Grand Canyon. But here is where it gets interesting. This city was filled with artifacts from ancient Egypt, hieroglyphs, statues, and even a pyramid. How did ancient Egyptian relics end up in Arizona over 5,000 years ago? Is it possible that they had access to flight? But it gets even stranger. The Smithsonian seized all the artifacts and shut down any further exploration, which led to 90% of the Grand Canyon being restricted till this day. The canyon is home to numerous hidden caves and tunnels, many holding ancient treasures and technologies. Many adventurers used to report seeing strange lights and sounds coming from these depths. The Hopi tribe, a tribe native to the region, speak of sacred underground cities known as the Sipapu. These cities are believed to be gateways to the underworld, holding powerful energies that should never be disturbed. All this makes us wonder, what else is hiding in the Grand Canyon?
This this is what they don't tell you. The Grand Canyon isn't just a natural wonder. It holds the secrets of an ancient, advanced civilization. But that's not even the craziest thing that was recently discovered. In a 1909 newspaper article, there were claims of an incredible find saying, an explorer discovered a hidden cave filled with Egyptian artifacts. The Grand Canyon has been studied for centuries, so what's really hidden within it? This is where things get scary. In the article, explorer G.E. Kincaid allegedly found a cave containing statues, tools, and hieroglyphs that resembled those of ancient Egypt. But here's the twist. Some scientists believe it wasn't even the ancient Egyptians, but an ancient advanced civilization called the Anunnaki. It's believed it was actually the Anunnaki who built the pyramids in ancient Egypt, and they also built pyramids and giant structures in part of North and South America. But once they left our planet, they took everything with them, leaving us with giant architecture all around the world.
Incubator baby farms. A lot of these were hubbed in World's Fairs. You had incubator babies at the World's Fairs. Buy an Asian baby, buy a Filipino, buy an African baby.
I think part of it was repopulation. I think part of it was early child trafficking. Premature children were in these incubators. You see pictures of these, nurses in their uniforms in a room filled with baby incubators, with people paying admission. With our increased awareness today, we've got things like Planned Parenthood and other things going on. There are companies that mail kids. There's a bit on my business where somebody can place an order for a child based on eye color or whatnot, and they get delivered. That's not good. And I think it's the same idea that there's this harvesting of humans going on without our knowledge and awareness, and unspeakable things happening to children that got its start very early on because the same families are behind it.
And you would see this mass migration of orphan trains and orphan boats, and you're like, first of all, where are all these fucking orphans coming from? How many orphans were there in the 1800s? Why?
So everybody's learning this thing at this young age, and everybody has to go by these new set of structures and new set of rules. They have to learn this new history that everybody isn't really agreeing with, and then anybody that's not agreeing with, they have to go to the insane asylum. There is the orphan asylums for the children and the insane asylums for the adults. Now all of a sudden, John D. Rockefeller comes out with a board of education, and all of the children are sent to a public schooling system to learn their new history. What better way to trick a society than to take their children at a young age and teach them exactly what you want them to know?
If people just realize that if you don't understand the past, you'll repeat it over and over again. And it prevents people from going to progress in the future. And us as a collective species, we have to get to the nitty-gritty of what really happened, what our true potential now is as a collective civilization. Because we can't rely on those people anymore.
How does any of us know? And I would ask my father this all the time. I would say, Dad, how do you know you have a great-great-great-great-grandpa? How do you know? None of us know. It's the truth, Those are things, and people can sit there and say, you guys are off your rockers talking about this stuff, but I mean, look who we're accepting the official story from. All I've ever known my whole life is that we don't know how we got here, and we don't know why, we don't know when. If Americans are sitting there one day and say, I don't know how I got here, I don't know why, and I don't know when, well, then you've been reset.
Don't believe what we say. Go out in your own communities and do your own research. There's plenty of buildings that they left for us to examine. Once we can all wake up collectively, then we can come to realize what they have truly done to us.
Shout out Hibbler Productions. Check this old world order stuff out. Here you go. A true gem. Firm Fam 2024.
What was hidden was greater, forbidden knowledge. The ancient world fair called the New Dawn. If you, dear follower, do not know what the New Dawn exhibition or the World Exhibition is, I will tell you about it. It is a very old exhibition, as the exhibition was established 300 years ago. It is a traveling exhibition every year in a different country. It was a global event such as the World Football Championship and international competitions, but in science only, and it was all his mother brings out her discovered knowledge to the public, and people, scientists, and the press come and watch it. Then the First and Second World War broke out, and almost everything disappeared, and each nation began to hide its knowledge from the other nation.
So I'm going to explain in the most ABC way why Tartarian music is so important. In the abstruse recesses of the quantum vacuum, where Planck scale fluctuations give rise to virtual particles in a symphony of quantum indeterminacy, resonant frequencies emerge as entangled eigenstates of non-local Hilbert spaces, their quantum entanglement encoded within the subatomic fabric of space-time foam. Through the convoluted labyrinth of Fock space and Clifford algebras, these frequencies traverse the intricate web of entangled wormholes, their quantum coherence entwined within the topological structure of Calabi-Yau manifolds, where modular forms intertwine with monstrous moonshine in the shadowy realms of string-theoretic duality. Within the fractal geometry of holographic horizons, where ADC-CFT correspondences encode the holographic principle in the holographic dualities of quantum gravity, these instruments resonate with the gravitational waves of cosmic inflation, their harmonic oscillations sculpting the emergent geometry of quantum spacetime with the precision of loop quantum gravity. Through the enigmatic dance of spin networks and causal dynamical triangulations, they unveil the fractal nature of quantum geometry, weaving a tapestry of cosmic complexity that transcends the bounds of classical comprehension. Amidst the quark-gluon plasma of primordial nucleosynthesis, where QCD phase transitions herald the birth of baryonic matter in the epoch of leptogenesis, resonant frequencies resonate with the symmetries of the electro-weak and strong forces, their harmonic resonances encoded within the symplectic structure of phase space. Through the kaleidoscopic symmetries of Lie groups and supersymmetric algebras, they evoke a myriad of quantum fluctuations that traverse the fractal landscape of cosmic inflation, guiding humanity towards a deeper understanding of the enigmatic laws that govern the cosmic order.
For the first time in modern history, we reveal to you Tartarian electronic music, sound waves that can repair cells and awaken dormant energy centers.
we find Tartarian music? In the enigmatic depths of quantum superposition, where wave functions entangle within the Hilbert space. Emergent phenomena arise as eigenstates of the non-Hermitian operator, their quantum coherence enshrouded within the ephemeral flux of entropic gradients, traversing the manifold of spacetime. Through the esoteric interplay of matrix mechanics and path integrals, these frequencies materialize as quasi-particles, entwined across the fractal dimensions of the multiverse, their quantum correlations entangled within the intricate lattice of brain configurations. Within the cosmic tapestry of M-theory, where holographic duality converges with the holographic principle in the ADSEA CFT correspondence, these instruments serve as conduits of extra-dimensional resonance, their vibrational signatures encoded within the spectral harmonics of non-abelian gauge symmetries. Through the transformative alchemy of brain cosmology and K-theory, they evoke a symphony of quantum fluctuations, their phase transitions resonating across the topological landscape of quantum probability. Amidst the celestial ballet of dark matter halos, where quantum foam intermingles with primordial fluctuations in the chaotic fabric of the early universe, these instruments resonate with the gravitational waves of cosmic inflation, their harmonic oscillations sculpting the curvature of space-time with the precision of quantum geometry. Through the esoteric lens of string phenomenology and quantum chromodynamics, they unveil the fractal geometry of emergent space-time, weaving a tapestry of cosmic complexity that transcends the boundaries of classical understanding. As humanity embarks on a voyage of quantum enlightenment, these instruments stand as harbingers of the unknown, beckoning towards the ineffable mysteries of the quantum realm. With each resonant modulation, they illuminate the hidden symmetries of the cosmos, guiding humanity towards a deeper understanding of the cosmic symphony that orchestrates the very fabric of existence.
Been living there for 2,500 years. There is one continent inside the earth and one ocean. Their capital city is built around the original lost Garden of Eden. The vegetation grows like a paradise. The people live to be up to 800 years old. They communicate with telepathy. The inner earth people have built these androids that fly their flying saucers out to reconnoiter the outer earth. Our government has been knocking flying saucers out of the sky and back engineering these flying saucers. The people that live in the Hollow Earth are not extraterrestrials. They're from the lost tribes of Israel.
Ornetti's chronovisor was more of an apparatus that enabled him to see back and hear back through time. Maybe something like a TV screen, something like earphones, but very complex, like a little bath escape.
This was a machine, though, that used an antenna in receiving light and sound that exist always, that once produced are always essentially there, and you can somehow tune into them, and that would include, I guess, anything from the present until the most distant past.
That seems to be what Ornetti claimed, yeah. You know, we used to talk a lot in both Akashic records and so forth, and today a lot of his talking about how it's rather quite possible, maybe even probable, that all sounds, all sound waves, all light waves, you know, kind of produced by us as we live, they are absorbed into the environment around us, and they're there.
Now is they can translate like Hitler's speech. They've got Hitler's speeches that Hitler gave in German. And you get to see it in English, and you're like, oh.
The German nation does not wish its interests to be determined and controlled by any foreign nation. France to the French, England to the English, America to the Americans, and Germany to the Germans. We are resolved to prevent the settlement in our country of a strange people which was capable of snatching for itself all the leading positions in the land, and to oust it, for it is our will to educate our own nation for these leading positions. We have hundreds of thousands of very intelligent children of peasants and of the working classes. We shall have them educated. In fact, we have already begun, and we wish that one day they, and not the representatives of an alien race, may hold the leading positions in the state together with our educated classes. Above all, German culture, as its name alone shows, is German and not Jewish, and therefore its management and care will be entrusted to members of our own nation.
When you see those things, those speeches, I thought it was all like, we gotta exterminate the Jews. That's not what he said.
Am Sonntag, den 30. März, fand die alljährliche Verpflichtung der Jugend statt. So wie hier in Berlin wurden im ganzen Reich über 1 Million 14-Jährige des deutschen Jungvolkes und des Jungmädelbundes in die Hitlerjugend und in den BDM überführt. Der Reichsjugendführer Arthur Axmann, der die Verpflichtung der Jungen und Mädel vornahm, schloss seine Ansprache mit den Worten: Ich bin überzeugt, dass ihr im Hinschauen auf den Führer das erfüllt, was euch das Herz befiehlt. Die Jungen und Mädel geloben feierlich in der Hitlerjugend allzeit ihre Pflicht zu tun, in Liebe und Treue zum Führer und zur Fahne. Die Reichshauptstadt in Erwartung des japanischen Außenministers Matsuoka. In den Straßen Berlins drängen sich Hunderttausende, um dem japanischen Außenminister einen herzlichen Empfang zu bereiten. Die geschmückte Vorhalle des Anhalter Bahnhofs. Der Reichsminister des Auswärtigen von Ribbentrop begrüßt den hohen Gast auf dem Bahnsteig. Neben dem Minister Generalfeldmarschall Keitel, der Chef des Oberkommandos der Wehrmacht, der japanische Botschafter in Berlin, General Oshima, und Berlins Gauleiter, Reichsminister Dr. Goebbels. Zum Schloss Bellevue, dem Gästehaus der Reichsregierung. Eine Ehrenformation der Leibstandarte Adolf Hitler erweist die militärischen Ehrenbezeugungen.
The Nazis and the occult. The hidden influences that ran deep through Hitler's race for power are now revealed.
The Nazis had built for themselves an entire universe of beliefs, some of it factual, some of it semi-factual, some of it from planet Mars. And the more you study the Nazis, the more it's like science fiction.
What were the mysterious occult Nazi societies at the heart of the Third Reich?
Key members of the Nazi Party, in particular Himmler and Hitler, were not just a little into the occult, they were absolutely obsessed by it.
What's incredible is how influential the secret societies were on the creation of the Third Reich.
These ideas of occultism, spiritualism, and racism made for a toxic blend.
Is it true that the Nazis had a top-secret program to build flying saucers and UFOs?
Did the Nazis take the blueprints to build these round flying machines?
We have UFOs, rocket launching factories built underground.
There appears to have been one successful flight. Short, not very far, but still a successful test flight.
And were there plans to build a genetically pure white super race?
The Nazis stole babies, and they were brought up in the hands of people who would Germanicize them. That was the master plan. This is crazy stuff. It's way ahead of its time. It's because world domination is the goal, and it's just a shame it was driven by evil.
The Nazis were a powerful, dominant force across Europe and North Africa in the mid-20th century. Led by the charismatic Adolf Hitler, they rampaged through country after country, leading to the greatest conflict this world has ever known, the Second World War. But behind the huge parades and overwhelming military power, the Nazis had a strong belief in ancient mysticism, magic, and the occult. There were two secret societies at the core of these esoteric beliefs, whose members were at the very top of the German high command, including the second in command to the Führer, Heinrich Himmler.
So Himmler had a vision of having a center where men could come and become true Germans, really the sort of Aryan race that he had envisioned.
It was melded to the idea that this was their destiny, tied up with the old Germanic gods demanding that they do this.
This was a monument to the Völkisch beliefs that founded the SS.
This just wasn't textbook stuff. They were meditating. They were having seances. This is where they learned how to be the Germans of the past and the Germans of the future.
The site for Himmler's secret Nazi project was Wewelsburg Castle in northeastern Germany. It was originally built back in the 10th century, then added to and adapted over the centuries before the infamous SS moved in the 1930s and turned it into the stronghold that still stands today.
The plans for Wewelsburg Castle was for it to be the center of the Germanic ideology for hundreds of years into the future. Himmler spent a good couple of years with the help of concentration camp workers, building Wewelsburg into his vision, adding ritual crypts beneath the North Tower in the design of a beehive hut that they felt was symbolic for all sorts of reasons.
Theo Pijmans is a Dutch researcher and historian who is an expert on Nazi secret societies. He believes that Wewelsburg was at the heart of the Nazis' esoteric and occult beliefs.
Himmler and his generals needed places for the development of their own esoterical philosophies. The SS had a number of castles, and they called them Ordensburgen. Translation of that is castles of the order. And each castle would have a specific function in order to train the generals and the high officers of the SS. But this castle was the premier Ordensburg, the premier castle of the order, and only a select few would come here.
The Nazis used Wewelsburg as a training center for elite members of the SS. Around a dozen or so high-ranking officers would spend time here, immersed in secret rituals, pagan worship, and paying homage to the sacred northern gods.
Wewelsburg Castle was the home of the ultimate secret society. The SS was the ultimate secret society. Their very symbol. A lot of people think it's just a fashionable design for SS. It's a rune. They took classes in runes. They took classes in these beliefs.
This is where you would come if you were in the upper echelon of the Nazi party and you were being groomed for bigger and better things. This is where the rituals would take place. I mean, this is not a place they created. This is a place they modified. Everything about Wewelsburg is symbolic and is designed for the elite of German society.
Had Nazi Germany won the war, Wewelsburg would only be a small part in a huge complex of what was to be the ultimate training school of Himmler's esoterical SS. This was not to be a training school for the soldier, this was a training school for the elite of the SS.
This whole concept of striving for the higher man, the more evolved man, and they didn't just mean on the physical level, they meant literally on the psychological level. And they believed that through using these various techniques, they could raise the human race to a higher level.
All of the rituals in Wewelsburg Castle was basically to instill this military, regimented ideas into their heads that they obeyed orders, they obeyed the Führer, they had no thoughts or feelings of their own. They were in themselves each the perfect Aryan warrior.
We have one eyewitness account of a person who is inside this castle, who stumbles upon a room, who inadvertently opens the door and sees there 12 of his SS generals sitting there in strict silence and meditation. It's one of those rare glimpses that we see what Himmler really was about.
So these people were thought leaders, but they were also really into ritual, and that ritual included things like seances and included different ways of communing, whether that be drugs or just ordinary rituals to try to access information from other realms.
Heinrich Himmler was an active occultist and took an intense and very personal interest in what went on at Wewelsburg. He visited the castle at every opportunity.
Himmler would arrive across the gate. He would enter with the car and his generals. The car would stop here. Himmler would leave the car. There would be an orchestra, there would be his generals, there would be soldiers, there would be a ceremony. Himmler would have been greeted, and then he probably would have gone through that door inside the main hall, where there is a very important and secret symbol, which is still here today. The inner core of the SS was always very secretive about what it did here in this hall in the castle of Wewelsburg. And even today, we don't know for sure what it was that they did here. We have a slight inkling, and that has to do with the symbolism of the number 12. There are 12 pillars, and there are 12 Sieg runes. So we may assume that the group that gathered here would be 12, including Himmler, making it 13, the unholy number 13.
The most sacred symbol to the SS was the black sun, which they worshipped here at Wewelsburg. The sun is represented by the wheel shape on the floor, which gives off a purple afterglow.
The black sun comes from the idea of the hollow earth. Within the hollow earth, there is a power source, because without an external sun, you can't grow crops, you can't survive. Some see the swastika as a symbol of the black sun, of the energy, this black energy. It's the antithesis of the sun.
So the mindset of the people in Germany around the start of the 20th century, when these societies were being formed, is really no different than it was anywhere else in Europe. For about 50, 100 years now, there's been a slow buildup of interest in the occult and interest in the people who can talk to other realms, and that information was actually quite credible.
Downstairs under the main chamber is a crypt personally designed by Himmler himself to his specifications. It was here, it's thought, that the most intimate and powerful secret society ceremonies took place.
This space is the crypt beneath the North Tower in Wewelsburg, and this was to be Himmler's center of the world. Now, had the Nazis won the war, we could only imagine what kind of rituals they might have held here. This was built before and during the Second World War. Construction stopped in 1943 because of the defeat of the Nazis at Stalingrad. Now, we don't know what this crypt may have been used for, but we could imagine certain things. And one of the things that people say is that highly ranked SS generals would be cremated here, and the urns with their ashes would be standing alongside the wall. So this was to be Himmler's, center of the world, where he would keep his most trusted and loyal SS generals even after death.
The distinct impression that this is advanced technology. First of all, what is this ball of light doing following my plane, and how can it possibly behave so strangely? It can move so quickly and turn on a dime and go back the other direction and then attack. This was brand new, and you can imagine how frightening it was to people who were flying conventional crafts at the time.
Did the Nazis take the blueprints to build these round flying machines, and did they make them? And did they fly them to their secret bases in Antarctica?
It was so secret that very few people, even within the Third Reich, knew about it. It was top secret research. I mean, only certain engineers were involved. And the actual designers of this particular flying saucer went on to work in America and Canada.
The super-secretive Nazi Vril Society used female mediums to contact ancient races, even, it said, extraterrestrial life forms. It's believed that this led to the Nazis' development of real-life UFOs, which they hoped would win them the war. Researcher and historian Theo Pymans has collected a number of original documents from the Vril Society that avoided destruction at the end of the war, and would shed a light on some of their secret activities.
Now, there's a huge amount of mythology surrounding the Vril Society. And I've been researching this topic for more than 25 years after having first read it. And if you look upon the Vril Society, you see that there's various kinds of stories. There's a huge amount of tales. In fact, what I found out was that their main focus and their main thrust was the development of a new kind of technology. And after many, many years of research, I finally was able to find some documentary evidence reading these texts, what became immediately clear that the technology that they describe is a mixture of avant-garde technology but also esoteric thought, which is very interesting. It is as if these people discovered something so new and so different from everything there was before that they could only resort to certain esoteric phrases in order to describe what they had found. Now, and the key element of this technology was they only would be needing one machine in order to give the whole world this form of technology.
But it wasn't only technology and spacecraft at the heart of the Vril Society. It was said that there were female mediums who claimed to channel messages from the extraterrestrials to the Nazis.
They had what's now known simply as the Vril women. Apparently there was a kind of inner circle of mediumistic women. There was one called Maria Orsek, there was one just known as Sigrun, and they were supposed to be rather beautiful. They had incredibly long hair, which, I mean, I'm sorry, I am going to smile because it is mad. They believed that this long hair acted as antennae for them to be in touch with these aliens. There were reports that in one particular seance, these female Vril mediums contacted extraterrestrials from the constellation of Taurus who gave them, through automatic writing, messages. One was a message in Templar code, allegedly. One was apparently ancient Sumerian writing, and one, which was really quite special, was the blueprint for some form of flying saucer. What was interesting was attending that particular seance were Nazi engineers and people who would seize on that and think, we could maybe make something of this, literally.
When you analyze the few remaining Vril Society documents, it seems clear that its members were intent on developing a real flying saucer of some description. Theo Pymans has unearthed a document from the archives which seems to point to some extraterrestrial force.
This is a very obscure pamphlet. You can only find it in one library today, and in it they describe this novel form of technology, and they even ask people, if you are interested in this, come join us. Now people might wonder, okay, why did such an organization or such a secretive group like the Vril Society exist in Germany and not, say, in other parts of the world? Well, we must understand that there's a couple of factors involved. In the 1920s, 1930s, Germany was at the forefront of new discoveries. We must understand that even people like Albert Einstein originally came from the German language areas. There's also the fact that German engineering was at the peak of what it was able to do.
Although most of Nazi Germany was destroyed after the war, there are still some important locations left. One of them is a beer hall in Munich, where Hitler, Himmler, and other top Nazi officials met as part of a secret society. The man in charge was Dietrich Eckart.
Eckart was one of the hugest, absolutely devastating influences on Hitler's thoughts. He was the man that not only introduced into these things, but he got him to take part in various rituals and to develop willpower and to develop the art of magnetism on not simply the ordinary level in which people can be magnetic, but to take it to another level. He believed that he was in touch with the secret chiefs, these kind of beings that were, according to various theories, they might be fallen angels, they might be living underground, they could be even extraterrestrials in some interpretations, although at the very least they were seen as a kind of superior species above human beings. As a result of these techniques, if you want to call them that he was taught, he developed a far greater degrees of concentration, the greater of willpower. He developed the ability to make people change their minds, but not through using rational arguments. He would kind of use a kind of force of, not just merely a force of personality, but he genuinely believed it was a kind of external force that he could control.
One of the things that came out of the Nazi secret societies was a total and almost manic belief in a white or Aryan super race. Most people today are aware of the Nazi persecution of the Jews and other racial minorities during the war. But very few know that its origins lay in the highly esoteric meetings that took place behind closed doors in Germany.
In the eyes of Himmler and Hitler, the pure German was tall, blonde hair, blue eyes, racially pure. And this is the foundation of what became the Holocaust. This was the ancient Aryan archetype that they associate with their society that goes back hundreds of thousands of years and goes back to the lost civilization of Atlantis. That's how they were thinking of themselves.
They believed the Aryan race probably went back 10,000 years, that they had soiled themselves by sleeping with lesser races, by joining with them, joining their blood with them, scattering throughout the world, and that they had to come back together again. And that the best place to do that, the place where you found the most of them, was Germany.
They are so ambitious, and they see that fertility rates are going down, the population is declining, but they want to do all this stuff. They want to dominate the world. So they create a program, the Lebensborn program, that's all about rapidly developing a racially pure Germany.
The Lebensborn program was founded in 1935 and was one of the most secretive projects of Nazi Germany. The plan was audacious and simple: create a white, blonde-haired, blue-eyed master race that would take over the world. Gisela Heidenreich is a product of this genetic engineering. Her father was a Nazi SS officer, and he agreed to be part of the experiment, which is believed to have created over 8,000 Aryan children.
The mothers who wanted to give birth to their child, they had to have special attributes. They had to have a special height. They should be at least dark blonde. They should have blue eyes. And they should claim the father of their children, even if they were not married, that he was also kind of a Aryan race. As many of the fathers actually were SS officers, so it was very simple, because the SS officers, they would, even if they were not married to those women, they would give them a kind of certification that they said, I am the father of this child which would be given birth to now. It was some of a special society from the very beginning. So I think even people who had no knowledge about it, they would say, well, something is very sinister about these homes. But it was just like a program for the ideal of the Aryan race.
There was certainly an understanding with Lebensborn. They didn't think that it was going to die in 1945. These people thought in terms of a 1,000-year Reich.
It didn't stop there. The Lebensborn program also stole babies. They stole thousands of them, mostly from neighboring countries to the north that they viewed were ethnically pure.
When they went into Poland and found that many of these children were Aryan-looking, they were taken from their parents, and they were put in internment homes for a while, and they were placed with German families so that they could be Aryanized. It was all the same program. It was all called Lebensborn.
They still had a stringent selection criteria. The parents, the father, the mother, they couldn't have any non-Caucasian blood tracing back 3 generations. They couldn't have any Jewish blood. These children were taken away, just robbed from their parents and brought into houses that were developed in many different countries that the Germans were controlling, and they were brought up in the hands of people who would Germanicize them. That was the master plan.
As well as an Aryan race, the Nazis were driven to get their hands on important holy and occult relics. Ross Andrews is an author and historian and an expert on the Nazis' occult plans. He says that Himmler, Hitler, and other leading generals were obsessed with the Knights Templar and their quests for both the Ark of the Covenant and the Holy Grail. He believes that it's possible that the Templars buried those holy treasures in a cave under the village of Royston in Hertfordshire, before moving them to other sites, including Roslin Chapel in Scotland.
Himmler was obsessed with the occult, like a lot of the top brass of the Nazi party, but he in particular wanted to appropriate pretty much all religion into his German religion that he was building. He wanted to get hold of as many relics as he possibly could get hold of. They'd already had the Spear of Destiny. They were after anything else that could possibly have been had by the Templars. So if the Templars had had the Ark, if they'd had the Holy Grail, he wanted hold of it. If we look at the castle that he built a chamber very, very similar to this. It was a circular room, it was a recessed floor as well for initiation purposes. So it's like he possibly wanted this room in his castle as well.
Royston Cave was rediscovered in the 17th century and was thought to be a ritualistic space for the Templars, as well as a storage facility and perhaps a strong room for their holy relics that they brought back from Jerusalem.
Himmler absolutely loved the Templars. He was great at marketing, to the extent that they would have pictures of the Templars, and on their arms they'd be carrying the swastika and SS symbols. And so they were almost like, for Himmler, they were the pin-up boys for his new religion. We know that the Templars were in charge of money, they invented banking, they were possibly the hoarders of vast treasures. Things they found under the Temple Mount, for example, possibly came to this country, and they needed somewhere to be held. Now, there's a distinct possibility that this room here in Royston was a vault that things were held in before they ended up in Roslin Chapel in Scotland or ended up elsewhere.
Ross is sure that Himmler sent agents to check out this cave, using local contacts either before or during World War II, but found the empty chamber that we see today.
Himmler spent a fortune, and as archaeology goes, no one in the history of ever has spent anywhere near as much as he did. He was obsessed with finding the Ark. He was obsessed with finding as many holy relics as he possibly could. They paid millions in today's money to send a group out to Tibet. They went down into Africa. They traveled the world searching for these things. Now, he also knew a lot of the legends and mysteries that the Templars talked of. So he had a belief that the Templars possibly had found the Holy Grail. He had a belief that they had found the Ark of the Covenant. He wanted to get to a place like this where he may have been able to pick up a few more clues and hopefully have found the things he needed.
The Nazis were obsessed with finding the greatest holy relics of antiquity, including both the Ark of the Covenant and the Holy Grail. They saw themselves as crusading Aryan knights who would return the world to a racial purity and a new golden age.
Himmler himself was very steeped in the occult and wanted to recreate the Teutonic Knights. The uniforms, the design, the entire look, the runic symbols, the SS of runes, which were classed as a mystical language that could be used for divination and that created words of power. And there was a lot around power, the idea that they were chasing holy relics like the Spear of Longinus and the Holy Grail. These are like any religious relics. They're items that supposedly hold power. So it's this quest for power, this desperate need to find power in any form.
Templars were massive relic hunters. They dug things up out of Jerusalem, they went into Africa, into Ethiopia, they possibly got hold of the Ark of the Covenant. They possibly got hold of the Holy Grail. Now, if those things ended up in this country, there's a distinct possibility they would have come from the south coast, heading up north, heading towards Scotland, for example. This would have been the perfect place to have stored it on its journey as it headed north.
What's also fascinating about this location is its similarity to the castle in Wewelsburg, where the Nazis also built an initiatory crypt for their ceremonies, but on a much larger scale.
What we have here, obviously the fascinating walls around us, but what makes this truly fascinating is the floor, which I know is a bizarre concept, but if you see here, you'll see the actual corners here have been carved out. This is an octagonal floor, which is unlike any kind of religious building you would normally have in this country. You normally have a cross-shaped. Now, it meant that if you had an altar in here, it didn't have to be east-west. This may have been some form of copy of the original temples they built at the Temple Mount, which meant they didn't have to face towards Jerusalem. They were the center of the world, which kind of leads us to think that this is some form of initiation or ritual building that Templars would have come in to perform some form of ritual within their religion.
In all of this purity, there's something very nationalistic. There's a national identity that they're trying to protect. This ideal of almost the medieval German Teutonic knight. And they felt that there was a pure Germanic blood that had to be protected.
Yeah, Himmler had obviously studied all the mysteries, studied the legends, and to him, he had seen this group of knights. They were strong, they were white, which is one of the most important things that the Aryan beliefs could have had. And he'd seen these people throughout history doing the things that he wanted. He wanted these treasures, he wanted these relics, and to him, he almost wanted to be one of the Templars. Now, if the Templars managed to get hold of the Ark of the Covenant, if they got hold of the Holy Grail, or something that they thought was that, some form of holy relic, it's a distinct probability that it would have ended up here. And it would have been placed in this lower area, and they would have been down here worshipping it. Now, we don't have proof of that. We haven't got photographs. We haven't got CCTV from the Middle Ages down here. But just by using logic, that's the kind of thing that they obviously would have done down here.
By the time World War II started in 1939, the Nazi Party and its leaders were already firm believers in the powers of the occult. Heinrich Himmler, second in command only to the Fuhrer, was intent on turning Wewelsburg into his own vision of a Grail castle, built to house the greatest holy relics of history, including the Ark of the Covenant, the Spear of Destiny, and the Holy Grail itself. Himmler, and to some extent Hitler, ardently believed that if they could possess these almost mythical relics, then the world would fall at their feet and they could rule the world as a white super race, like modern-day Knights Templars. Their secret societies, like Thule and Vril, were wholly focused on that objective, mixing ancient texts and rituals with the occult.
The Nazis were far more than bloodthirsty murderers.
All these ideas, as crazy as they sound, and there's no justifying them, mind you, but they're the product of almost 100 years of gradual sort of obsession about the occult, and combine obsession with the occult with growing nationalistic pride, and this is what you get. It's a really twisted result from what was originally just an interesting idea about how the world is structured.
I don't think those secret societies would have understood how distorted their view was. Their idea of purity and correctness was in fact evil in a way, pure evil.
So many of these societies existed for the sole purpose of proving what was termed Ariosophy, what was termed the ideal of the Aryan race and proving that what all those other scientists said was nonsense, that we, the German people, we do go back to Atlantis, we do go back 10 or 15,000 years, and we can prove it. So that is how the occultism, the Aryanism, it all began to play together. It was all playing the same long-playing record.
Well, the Nazis found a lot of stuff and stole it. So they've got artwork, statues, relics from all over the world. I think if they'd found something as important as the Ark of the Covenant, the Holy Grail, that would have been announced straight away. And it would have been such a morale boost for the German public, but more importantly, it would have, the morale of the people they were fighting would have just suddenly disappeared. Because how can you beat somebody that has the Ark of the Covenant?
This is pure science fiction. I mean, just look at what we have. We have UFOs. We have rocket launching factories built underground. We have stormtroopers. I mean, this is crazy stuff. It's way ahead of its time. It's because world domination is the goal, and it's just a shame it was driven by evil.
Behind the huge rallies and military might, Nazi Germany and its leadership were firm, if secret, believers in the occult and its powers. They dedicated huge resources to tracking down holy relics and immersed its leaders in rituals and ceremonies to try and unleash supernatural forces to help its aims in taking over the world. It was a plan that came to a spectacular end in 1945.
こをまっすぐ行って左だ。
ありがとう。
Bye.